Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Drones Down Under podcast. We're just having a little bit of a chat at the moment with Christmas coming up and everybody looking to put out there to purchase some new drones. So we just thought we'd have a bit of a discussion today about some of the drones around the market, what they can be used for, and to show our listeners a little bit more about what's available out there. So just to start and kick things off, I'm going to bring up on screen the DJI Mavic Mini 2. And if one of you lovely lads would like to have a little bit of a chat about this and bring us up to speed on the beautiful little DJI Mavic Mini 2.
I think I'm going to pinch this one because it's my probably most flown drone. I know you guys love flying the minis, but man, the Mini SE and Mini 2, the only difference is the Mini 2 has OcuSync, where the other two run on Wi-Fi. It's a great versatile little drone for social media content and smaller kind of size prints. It packs a 12 megapixel camera, which really is probably majority used for social media. I wouldn't expect much more out of that, although it does shoot 4K, which is nice.
Have you used it for anything commercially, Danny?
I use it for a lot of commercial work. Being a sub 250 gram drone, you can fly within 3 nautical miles of the airport, outside of the approach and departure paths, of course. But a lot of the times it can get away with, with the high resolution stuff for commercial work, whether it be real estate or just social media content in general. I'd highly recommend the Mini. And Christmas coming up, it's probably the most affordable option for someone that wants to get into proper drones, not, your Kmart special drone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely takes an all right picture too. I've only used one a couple of times, but I was pretty impressed with the image that you got out of it as well.
And we don't have to pay $40 for the registration.
Exactly.
Yes.
Sub 250 is the best.
Perk.
Yeah. It is. I think it's a great little tool. I carry it with me pretty much everywhere I go. Like you said, Danny, it's literally like the best little tool you can have in your pocket. It can be very versatile. I've made some incredible 3D models with this thing. Because of how small it is and how close you can fly. The only thing is it doesn't have the sensors like all the other ones do, but that kind of allows you to fly it wherever you want without having to stress too much about alarms going off, preventing you from going too close, all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
How do you go with the res and modeling? Is it
it's
okay?
It's great. It's great. So because like when I say you fly close, you're like a meter off the wall with this thing, and you're getting like a 3 mil GSD, I reckon, even if less than that. So it's crisp. It just means you have to take a lot of photos, but the images and the file size is nothing compared to a Phantom or a Mavic or the P1 on the M300. So yeah, it's great, especially with the long flight time as well, about 32 minutes, 31 minutes, maybe
31 minutes.
Kind of a good usable time, about 25 minutes. And just to mention as well, when it comes to the modeling, it uses OcuSync, which is really good with the telco towers. So you can get a lot closer to towers without getting any interference. But definitely a great place to start your drone adventure.
100%. Would
definitely
absolutely recommend investing if you don't have anything at all.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Well, we'll explore a couple of the other ones. We'll jump up a little bit and we'll move on to the Mavic Air 2. Now, I haven't actually used the Mavic Air. The experiences for me of the Mavics have been the Mini and the old Mavic 2 original. I haven't used any of these ones, so maybe you guys can fill us in a bit there.
I've never actually flown one myself, but I do hear the Air 2S is pretty good for just an all-rounder. It's cheaper than Mavic Pro versions. It's got a 1-inch sensor from memory. Still, how much is it? 20 megapixel from memory? I think it says 48 megapixel, but that's one of those gimmicky JPEG modes.
And it's a fixed aperture, right? So,
But it definitely gets the job done. It's good. It's quick. It's got all your sensors for 360 avoidance and shoots 4K 60, which everyone loves.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the price range is, don't get me wrong, it's probably around 1,200 to 1,500 for a combo.
pretty sure it'll tell us down the bottom here, just for
It's a
specific.
bit of a no man drone for for me personally, because you got the Mavic II.
Yeah,
And I'm not quite sure where this would fit.
there you go.
Given now the Mavic 2 is kind of the older model and the Mavic 3 is out, this is kind of replacing that as that prosumer kind of level before you get to like professional, which is, you know, $7,000 safer cine combo with the Mavic 3. But we'll talk about that one next. So yeah, 1400 on the money.
Yeah, so while we're there, then we might as well just quickly talk about the Mavic II, which was the previous Mavic with a pretty damn good camera.
Which is an absolute workhorse.
Yeah, look, I still look at this drone as something I'd love to purchase purely on this camera. I've always think it's a great piece of machinery. I don't own one personally, but everyone I know who does own them, just the image quality, what they get out of them is just insane. They just produce such a beautiful image.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Again,
I did own one, but I sold it only because we wanted to keep our fleet consistent. So as we've got all Phantoms, but it is a great drone. I mean, the images are insanely good. Obviously, a Hasselblad camera. So, but that's what I was saying. If I was picking between the Air 2S and this, I'd always go over the Mavic 2 Pro any day, I think.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
I'm the same.
But given the price points now, like, and because it is now technically an obsolete model, people are selling them dirt cheap secondhand, or you can buy them pretty cheap brand new even. And like, if you don't want to drop, you know, how much of the Mavic 3's gone for, $3,000 plus or whatever, this is a great combo. But also you get, as Ty just brought up on screen, the Mavic 2 zoom.
Yes.
You know, you've got a 24 to 48 mil optical zoom. That's pretty bloody good. Although it does only have a 12 megapixel sensor.
Yeah. So that's the trade-off. You're getting the ability to have a good piece of zoom equipment on a drone, but you just don't quite have the quality of the Mavic 2
I think
Pro.
it came out before the Mavic 2 Pro, right? Mavic 2.
I thought they came out together.
Yeah, together.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Just to give consumers the two options essentially, but I don't know. When I look at these two, there's only one option for me out of those two that I would even remotely touch. So
yeah, 100%.
I'm pretty sure I know like 2 or 3 people maybe that bought the zoom. Everyone else got the Pro because it's just a much better camera. Like 1-inch sensor, Hasselblad. Is it 20 megapixel? You can't go wrong with it.
No.
And it's a workhorse. Like they just go forever.
And that's the thing. Like everyone I know who owns one, has used one, all the rest of it, they still own them. They still use them. They're not looking to upgrade in any way or form. They're so happy with this drone, particularly obviously the Pro.
Yeah.
So
And you got the adjustable aperture, which for an extra whatever between the Air 2S,
let's have a look.
Mavic 2.
Yeah,
Well, that answers that question.
Not available. That's interesting.
DJI mustn't be selling them anymore.
No, well, I imagine DJI's pulled them. You'd be able to buy them, I imagine, from retailers still, but just from DJI, not so much.
Yeah, which would be a thing to take into consideration as well, because of obviously we're jumping into the Mavic 3 now, but the change in battery mounts or click-in. So the Mavic 2s are obviously not the right way to do it for DJI now. They've obviously shifted with the Mavic 3. So if you are thinking about getting a Mavic 2, do consider that you might be running out of redundancy within the battery world. They might not be supporting it anymore. So batteries might be limited.
In my experience with tech companies, that it will be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what? You have to buy a new drone? What a thing. So we briefly talked about this in the last few episodes, but obviously the Mavic 3 that we're all quite impressed with.
Yep.
It's another, I guess, getting towards the prosumer end of things, wouldn't you probably say?
When you're looking at $7,000 for the Cine combo, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? It comes with such a beast of a camera, like micro four thirds in a foldable drone. No one's doing that.
No.
Yeah.
But it is obviously worth mentioning too that the Cine version, you're essentially paying that almost double for the ProRes, essentially. and there was something else as well. I can't remember that's included in that.
The 1
1
terabyte
terabyte?
SSD.
Yeah, that's right. The SSD.
And a zoom camera that still has shocking settings. So a lot of the issues with this phone still is a lot of the features are still locked. So it's kind of, don't hold me to it, but it's only basic photo and video. There's no master shots or active track, any of that kind of stuff yet.
Right. Okay.
It's meant to be in the next firmware update from what people have told me.
Yeah. Okay.
Would not say no to one. They're absolutely, micro four thirds, 20 megapixel adjustable aperture. That's it's a no-brainer if you got the money.
Yeah.
This was something that also I found very interesting, was their advanced return to home. With obviously, I think they used in the demo video it flying through trees, navigating through trees to find its home point, which that's a pretty cool feature. That's pretty cool there.
Like
That's
walking
pretty
home
cool.
drunk.
Yeah.
Need one of those after we've been to the pub.
When I return to
So
home,
is that? It's not using LiDAR or anything. How's it? Because obviously what they're showing there shows it looks like a point cloud, but is that just from the sensor?
I think that's
sensors?
just the sales.
Yeah, it might
marketing.
be just the
standard-
sales pitch.
Just
To get
use
people
standard-
like you excited, Brendan.
Uh,
See point cloud.
they got me.
Yeah, exactly.
They're drawing you in. They're expecting you to be there tomorrow with $7 grand in your hand.
Yeah.
All right. Now we'll move on to something a little bit different. Now I have had no experience with these at all. I've only ever had experience with DJI drones. I mean, I do know obviously there's other companies out there.
Has anybody had experience with these drones? Like, no, not just four of us. I mean, anybody.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
The way
No.
Autel kind of advertises is they're the drone that aren't geofenced, which geofencing has its reasons, but Autel you can fly it wherever you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not legally, but
Yeah. So it's just essentially you don't have a lot of the restrictions of the geofencing and everything else that DJI puts in place.
yeah, which we all know that it is there for a reason, but
Definitely.
if it works for Autel, why not?
So you've used one of these, Danny?
I've got a few mates that have them, and look, the quality that comes out of them is ridiculous. Like,
Really?
Okay.
it's well on par with DJI. I can't speak from personal experience, but from what I've seen, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
You said a
Okay.
6K camera. Sorry,
one-
recording.
The Pro's got 8K, which is
Right.
how to destroy your
Yeah, here
GPU
we
when
go.
you're trying to render.
Okay,
Yeah.
got specs there.
Got a fixed aperture on that. Oh no, wait, which one's that one?
And the one thing that I can really appreciate with this is that it's red.
You can
You can see the
yeah.
damn thing in the sky really easily at all times because there's this giant
Yeah.
red thing flying around.
Not
It's
great.
my only ever criticism is having
grey,
things
not
that are
black.
white.
White, no, bright and red. And Autel's got quite a few little different variant models as well, which you can get a like bright red one or yellow or whatever. Like
Yeah, okay.
DJI, take note.
Huge sensors on them. 48 megapixel.
Pretty sure that 48 megapixels the quad Bayer sensor again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So 12 megapixel, so 48.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
I get you.
But it's a good sales pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it works. It gets my attention every time. So. All
But yeah,
right. Well,
8K video and you got 40 minutes of flight. So
yeah.
Okay. Do you know what they like to handle, Danny? I've heard some like online reviews that they're not that great. They're kind of like a truck to fly.
yeah,
Is that what you've heard?
look, they fly pretty damn good, but when you compare it to DJI, it's like you're flying a boat in comparison.
Right.
Although they do
Okay,
fly
okay.
great, just in comparison to DJI, which is, I guess, the
Just not as nimble, or the just in general,
You want
that's
to do a nice
not-
bank and sweep and turn, it's not going to fly the way you think it's gonna.
okay.
Right.
In comparison.
Okay.
But if that was the only thing you're flying, I would not be upset.
Okay. Cool.
What's the price point on these?
Ty's about to click buy now, so we can
Yeah.
see what it is, because I
We'll
got no
go
idea.
on the Evo 2.
That's
So
not bad.
I imagine this is US prices. keep in
US
mind.
prices,
Yeah.
I would have thought.
So what, $2,000?
How much?
Okay.
How much is the Pro? 7. Yeah. Okay. So
No.
not too bad. It's
You're
not
probably
too bad.
pushing just over $2,500
It's still not bad.
for the Pro.
But it's
But
10,
yeah,
10-bit color. Like,
you probably don't have any, probably just a single battery and things here too, right? So I'm sure it's
it's still not bad for the quality you'd get out of it.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. What's in the box? Yeah, one battery,
Bundle,
chargers. Yeah,
2
carry
batteries.
case.
No.
Oh, the rugged
Yeah,
bundles. So
okay.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, even with the rugged bundle, you still, I suppose you're only still getting 2 batteries though.
Yeah.
Depending what you wanted to do.
40 minutes of flight time, like we'll say 30 minutes usable. That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, we'll jump back into the DJI realm and we'll go into our favorite. Sean's favorite drones, the Phantom. Sean, since they're your little baby, do you want to have a bit of a chat about the Phantom 4 and some of the variants that we've got?
Yeah, look, obviously for us, we got a few of the Phantom 4 Pros, and I think they're such a good versatile drone. They're clearly not something you want to be traveling with. It's not, we've all talked about our love for the Mini 2s, and it's because it's got so much capability and it's easily something you can travel with. But other than that fact, I think 20 megapixel cameras across their whole Phantom 4 family, and obviously 4K for video, high-res photo. I think the batteries, it's typically about 25 minutes from memory whenever we fly. But like we said, we've got a fair few of these. So whether we're using a Pro or RTK, we tend to sort of have the same batteries, which is quite handy. Which is one of the reasons I mentioned earlier that the Mavic II Pro is a great drone, but it doesn't quite work for us when we have it in isolation. So I just think it's quite a good balanced drone for everything that we tend to do, whether it's just taking photos, video, or you're doing something like photogrammetry that we tend to do most of our work in. So
it's extremely versatile. I mean, I've always had a Pro within reach at all times with the Phantoms. I think they're incredible. You can use them everything across the board. There's not too much they can't do. And yeah, it's definitely one of those things, the travel portability of the Mavics and things. But I am still one of those people that used to take my Phantom with me traveling. So I actually used to have a hard case backpack that I used to carry my Phantom 4 all around the place with. But they're definitely an extremely good drone though.
And it's 2017, I think, from memory, the release. To think we're almost 2022, and we're still talking about that drone.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that puts it into perspective of like all the variations of like the Mavics and the Minis and whatever. The Phantoms literally stayed the same the whole time.
Changed.
And it's like, people talk down on the Phantoms. Like I use Phantoms. That's all I use. And they're a workhouse. Like they're so much better. They're so good. I wouldn't.
Removable props as well, Brendan. Yeah. I mean, it's if you do something silly accidentally, damage a prop, it's easily changeable. There's no screws or anything. It's clickable.
Yep. And it's rugged. Like, you're not going to snap arms potentially like on the Mavics. The whole case is pretty strong. It's just that
they do take a bit of a beating. My first Phantom 4 back a long time ago when I bought it, I got pretty cocky in the first day I bought it, trying to be a smart ass flying through some trees. Clipped a tree, dropped it to the ground, perfectly fine. Yeah. But that's the thing. They are quite a durable drone. They are relatively easy to operate. Most people could fly one quite simply and probably not have too much trouble with it as long as they know, the basics of a drone. So
for sure.
Even the UV lens on the payload there, that's removable. So I think from memory it's about $70-80 if you get it scratched, take it out, you haven't really damaged your lens at all. So but I think the main negative is the travel part. So if you want to do something quick and light, it's probably not the drone.
Not the drone you want.
Sure. What do they still sell the Phantom 4s, or are they? I know the Phantom 4 Pro.
Yes.
Stock, but
so they still sell this one, the Phantom 4 Pro V2, but they don't sell any of the models lower than that anymore.
Okay.
So
I think the main difference is between 1 and 2 is one's 12 meg and the version 2 is 20 meg.
Yes,
the Phantom
the
4.
camera.
The Phantom 4 alone was 12 megapixel, but the Pro was 20 megapixels.
Mm.
Yeah.
The version 1 and 2 are still the same. The only difference is OcuSync and the different ESCs.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I had one of the original Phantoms back with the 12 megapixel, and I mean, I still found it a good camera, but nothing as good as these ones, obviously. Now we have up on screen a bit of a variation of the Phantom 4, the RTK. This is something that is quite commonly used with the base station, used for survey and mapping, to do extremely accurate capture of, say, for ground surveys, create point clouds and everything like that. Brendan, I imagine you would have used these guys a little bit.
Yeah, actually, I don't own an RTK.
There you go.
Yeah.
I actually thought you would have used a fair bit of them.
No. So, like Sean has pointed out over the last couple of days as well, is that through our conversations, that the RTK Phantom doesn't have timer function when taking imagery. So when you're trying to do photogrammetry manually, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Visual photo.
oh well, it does
I've
work,
been-
but it's all your finger is working 100 times more than it needs to be. So
I've been
what she
spending my
said.
weekend looking into that. So it's correct, yes. As if you buy the Phantom 4 RTK as the standard package with the RTK controller, Brendan is 100% correct. There is no interval timer on there at all. And the downside is with the RTK controller, you can't use any third-party software on it for some reason. But there is a way around that. You can actually buy the kit with an SDK controller, and the SDK controller essentially it's the same as on your normal Phantom 4s, where you can put a tablet or a phone in there, and that gives you the capability to run third-party apps such as your drone deploys, drone harmony, and things like that. And also then gives you options to have a timer.
I think it's
Yes.
worth mentioning also that this is obviously a big step up from the Pro, because the controller actually used the same battery like a WB37, like the base station. So you will get 3 to 4 hours on a single battery compared to any other controller that we've just covered off.
Yep.
So it is really stepping into that commercial space with this type of drone. And I think, yes, we can talk about the timer and it's the negatives, but when we look at what was there before this drone, you're talking about fixed wings to do survey type work.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're sort of getting into a space that's much more affordable. And, you know, we've done enough work around things like civil or any sort of flat areas or terrain, not vertical sort of scanning. And I think it's a great drone for that, especially it's so rugged, it's like the Pro. Obviously, it's there for its accuracy, but it is a big jump in price.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's
for an RTK solution, it is a cheaper RTK option as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like when you look at, say, like the later drones we're going to talk about, say the M300s, they're what, 3-4 times the price nearly?
Yeah.
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 And also worth mentioning too, it has all its own built-in planning software as well. So you can plan for your mapping flights directly from the controller as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
If
This
you
drone
wanna-
is 100% like for your commercial use for surveying work. Like there's no other, like you can use, obviously you can go and use it for everything else. But it is really aimed for the commercial surveying type of work, if that's the space you're going into.
So you can't capture in RAW on it. Is one of the things worth mentioning as well.
Yeah.
Like it is designed specifically for mapping and survey work.
Right on.
So we'll bounce on to the next quick variation of the P4, the multi-spectral. Now, I haven't done anything with this personally myself. I haven't done really much in the agriculture world.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of you guys have a little bit more information about this? Like, I'm assuming it obviously has thermal is one of the things.
I was just going to
on
say,
it.
being part of the P4 family, this is good. Again, you can share the batteries. If you sort of go down a Phantom 4 Pro path, you sort of invest on the props, all of that's all shareable, including batteries.
Yeah.
It does leverage the RTK technology, similar to what we just covered off.
Yep.
But then it has a 6 camera angle payload. So, sorry, 6 camera payload. Typically, I think where this will be beneficial is rather than sending your big ag drones, when you want to sort of do a mapping of any sort of agricultural locations, this is probably a great way to sort of plan out like that great timing there. So you can actually see the water and locations where it's sort of heavier than what they expect it to be. So at least you can plan what needs to be done. So much more versatile than sending your typical sort of Aggress stuff out there until you absolutely need it to spray. So
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
one of the Brendan, one of the
There you go.
frustrations that I wish we could do in the Phantoms is, they're all fixed payloads, right? So they're dedicated
Yeah.
drones. If I recall correctly, they're all $6,000 each. So, it's a significant investment for a drone. And then you got all the RTK on top of that, like your base and your tripods, all that sort of jazz. So does add up quickly.
it sure does. Yeah. I wish they would bring out a Phantom that has changeable payloads. That would be, I think that type of drone from a DJI perspective would fly off the shelves.
Do you think
Like-
they'll ever do it? I've always wondered that myself.
I don't-
Well, I hope they don't, because we invested bloody too much in this shit. So.
Well, I mean, I put this is just personal thoughts, but I think at the end of the day, you'd be so limited on the size and weights of payloads you could put on them to have them still operating correctly. Like, it's great in theory, but end of the day, you're not putting a P1 on that, are you? Like, I don't see it handling it real well.
Yeah.
So, it'd be great, but I just don't think they'll ever do it. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm not too sure whether it be something through like a basic thermal camera, or you have the multispectral. You've got your 20 1-inch sensor with your 20 megapixel image, and then you look at the Mavics, and then they've got the upgraded sensor. Why wouldn't you be able to change between all those payloads that are made for the lighter versions of aircrafts, and then once you really need to go up higher into the industrial land, and you go to your Inspires and your Matrices.
Yeah, definitely, which is a good segue into our next one as we chat about the Inspire 2.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Sorry, Ty, I was going to say, on one good accessory for the Phantoms is a good hard case, because there's quite a lot of hard cases with the props, so you don't have to keep taking in and out, because especially when the stuff that we do, the last thing you want to be doing is attaching props every time we go to a different site. So just keep that in mind when you're buying some of these stuff. Those cases are over $1,000. So most of the drones we've talked about is about that price.
Yeah.
So, but they're worth every cent. I mean, I've got 2 hard cases here, one with a P4 Pro 2 and one with an RTK in it, and let alone the actual protection it provides for them. But it's nice to have something where everything's in a simple, hard, big case. You literally just pick it up, put it in the car, good to go.
And you're good to go.
100%.
Yeah, you just remember the gimbal cover and it's ready to fly, right? Once you do your pre-checklist and so forth. So
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's worth mentioning. Sorry, mate, go for it.
No, that's all right. Now we'll bump into the Inspire. Now, these are something I haven't flown. I think they're a beautiful drone. I'd love to get my hands on one and have a bit of a play. I just don't want to pay for it. Have you guys flown these ones? I'm assuming you probably have, Danny.
Probably the most regularly flown drone in the fleet. That's why I describe it. It's the Lamborghini of drones. It's fast, it's quick, it's agile. It has a range of bloody good cameras.
And it looks pretty too.
Can you still get the TB50 batteries or TB55s?
Yeah, you still get them. The TB50s are still available because they use them on all their new Ronins as well, all the bigger Ronins, the dual hand ones.
Yep.
Plus, with the X4S, X5S, and X7 cameras, you can shoot, up to 6K in cinema DNG, or ProRes like the Mavic III. But you've also got these, interchangeable payloads, which makes it what it is. It's
Yeah,
just a piece of a
definitely.
drone.
But that's a good sign. I guess we're stepping up more into the pro end of things now. We're starting to be able to change payloads over.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
And
So
the
what's
fact
your
that
main-
the legs lift up and that, so
Yeah.
you can sort of spin the cameras around.
Well, that's it. The dual operation. So you have one person as a pilot, and as you might be able to see on the screen for all the viewers, it has a small camera on the front of it as your point of view camera. So the pilot can fly using that camera, and the camera operator can use, actually control the camera completely separate and have full 360 view underneath it.
which is incredible for cinematography stuff when you can have your chief photography still doing the filming for whatever you're trying to create, whether it's a movie, TV show, whatever.
Well, that's it. Well,
but you have that capability where the person controlling the camera can just control the camera, and the person operating the drone can just make sure you're going where you need to go.
Exactly. That's it. Like when, if you're going to rock up to a big budget movie and you're going to rock up with a Mavic and tell them they got ProRes, or you're going to rock up with an Inspire and tell them it's got ProRes with a dual operation, you're going to get what you pay for in that sense.
Hey man, I'd give it a crack. I'd rock up with a Mavic III and go, I got ProRes.
Don't get me wrong. That's a great redundancy to have in the back, in the back of the kit for
definitely
if anything happens. But you can get much more dynamic movements out of this having a dual operation. The camera operator doesn't have to worry about flying. All they're doing is watching the talent, and the pilot watches the drone. That's it.
Yeah.
So they handle pretty well in the air, obviously.
Oh yeah, I'd fly this in 60k winds, no questions asked.
Yeah,
Really?
okay, that good.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's got a top speed. I think if it's 101 kilometers an hour in ADI mode. So we use it for car chases all the time, and it's just you can't beat it. And until you start going to the bigger options, like say the M600 with the Ronin and a red on it or something. But that's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's something I don't think any of us in this room can afford.
But
So would you get this over the Mavic III Cine version?
any day.
Okay.
But you can pick up a secondhand Inspire. Keep in mind the Inspire itself, body alone, no batteries and no camera, is about $6,000. But then you add, your 2 remotes plus 2 batteries, you're looking at about 20 to 30 grand, options.
Yeah, okay. And I see plenty of Inspire ones going around for sale too. Are they halfway as good? Not even close?
Or quarter way, maybe. Look, the transmission, they definitely have their place. They're good for what they were, but they're just such an obsolete bit of technology now. You just can't compare to it. You get
40s. Sorry, Dan. I was going to say TB47s, 48s. You can't get them. So
exactly. People have been trying to, like when we listed like about a year or so ago, we had an old Inspire which we listed on Gumtree. Everyone wanted just to part it out for batteries because there's like 10 batteries to start with it. That's all anyone ever wanted. Where the drone, the camera's done as good. Yes, you can shoot in RAW for free because that's what came with it, the X5R. But with the Inspire, you have to pay for the ProRes and DNG licenses, which is like $1,500 on top of the drone.
Really?
Jesus.
Yeah. So like by all means,
that's really cruel.
Well, that's what the licenses cost, to use that format. So you can you can buy this drone for $6,000, but all you're going to get is a drone and a remote, no batteries, no camera.
Yeah.
Then $10,000, you're going to get a Lamborghini of drones.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think the answer is don't waste your money. Danny's all right.
You know what? If you gave me this or Mavic 3, I'd take this. I'd take an Inspire any day.
Oh no, I was talking about the Inspire 1.
I know if it's Inspire 1, just in the bin.
Yeah.
All right. Well, unless anyone else got anything to put in there, we'll jump across.
No.
All right. To the Matrice 300 RTK. This is out of my licensed flying range.
You just want to be a fiery, don't you? After you watch this sad, just look.
I'd love to be able to take, not that we legally can without permission in Australia, but I'd love to be able to take drones this sort of size over emergency stuff for the imagery wise you could get out. It'd be incredible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It makes you feel like more of a man watching this video, knowing that if you had pull this out, you're just like, yeah.
That's what Sean does every time he pulls it out.
That's a bit weird. He did that to me today. He was just like, just drag it out. Check this out.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Have you picked up the battery case, Brendan?
No, I haven't actually. I've seen it there.
I got warned that the battery case is heavy. And when I was helping another friend of ours out, we were having a test with an M300. He warned me and said, "Oh, be careful when you pick up the battery case. You put your back out." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "It's extremely heavy." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Went and grabbed it. And I don't reckon he was too far off the truth.
Really?
That thing feels like a dead body contrapted into a little plastic case. Like, it's ridiculous.
Insane.
We recently did a job at a hospital with the M300 and a full battery case.
Mhm.
And me and the other remote pilot, I said, "Look, I'll grab the drone. You grab you grab the other case." Bad mistake on his part.
Yeah.
You already
Okay.
knew what was going to happen. That's why.
Exactly. But
It's smaller, so it's deceiving. But yeah, it's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
So what weight class does this fall into? So Ty, you said it's out of your
Correct.
license. So
With no payload, I can fly it.
but no
okay.
batteries.
With the
it's 7
payload?
kilos.
Isn't 9.5 kilos with payload and batteries from memory?
Yeah, with
9.7 or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're
But-
bumping up. You have to bump up your license, your operator's license, to cater to this.
You need a 25 kilo REPL license to be able to fly this legally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, if you're buying this to fly it non-commercial, I think you bought the wrong drone.
Or you got
Yes,
too much cash to waste.
Yeah. So
Or
okay.
Or like
so,
Brendan said, you want to look more like a man. You
Yeah.
just want the drone.
You just want to have it there.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with that.
So what does that do in regards to? So okay, let's go for example. You do your REOC. Your REOC is subjected to your 7 kilo max drone. So if you want to go out and get this, does that mean you have to go? Obviously, you have to go and get your pilot license to go up to. Is it 25 kilo once you go over the 7 kilo?
Yeah, 25.
And then what? Then you have to go through and change all your user manuals and all that sort of stuff as well, or does it just transition over?
More so, well, when it comes to the REOC, as long as you're allowing essentially emergency systems to compensate for saying, okay, it's such a big drone you're going to be flying, that kind of covers that. But that's the main thing to remember. You are flying a much bigger drone. So, it is faster and heavier and does take more time to stop and can do more damage.
Can do more damage. That's the most important.
We can do more damage.
I was only talking about this yesterday with the M300. It's quieter than a Mavic, I reckon. Just purely the note that comes out of it, it's not as high pitch and whiny. It's more of just a hum.
That is true. It is
the
much
size
more
of the
of a
pitch of
hum.
those what do you call propellers? Like
Yeah, it's insanely big.
It commands dominance in the air.
Yeah, definitely. Like they're a stunning drone. And again, with the interchangeable payloads, I had the opportunity to see a good fun little test with the zoom and a good fun little test with the thermal. When we were testing the zoom, we were flying above a friend's pool shop, and her husband was leaving the shop and taking some pool salts back to their house, which is about probably roughly around 2K away. And we were telling her about the zoom on the H20T, and she said, "Oh, I wonder if you can see Sean." So popped up into the sky, and we went up as high as we could, and we just zoomed right in. And it was unbelievable. Like, obviously you guys have seen the digital zoom. For the listeners at home, when you get digital zoom, when it's not optical zoom, you can get a little bit of pixelation to the image, but you can generally still quite clearly see what it is. And we could zoom in right on the back of Sean's ute, could read the actual text on the back of the ute, and seeing him pulling out the salt, putting it in a wheelbarrow and walking around the back of the house.
That's nuts.
Crazy.
So you can see why they use these drones for terrorist reconnaissance.
Absolutely.
It's an industrial workhorse, whether it be using an epic zoom, using the thermal capabilities, or using, say, the LiDAR payload or the P1 payload.
The Razor rangefinder is pretty cool too. It's like 1.2 kilometers. That's insane. Yeah. So you want to know how far something is, you just click on like that car that's popped up then in the video. It'll tell you if it's within 1.2 Ks. Exactly how far away it is. It's very
cool.
good.
Very cool.
I think, like you highlighted before on the Inspire 2, the fact that it's got interchangeable payloads, big plus naturally for that kind of investment. So
also, one thing to mention as well, this advanced dual control that's on the screen right now, I've noticed that'd be perfect for beyond visual line of sight and extended visual line of sight. So if
Yeah.
you're say doing a line of sight survey between a shit ton of sites out in the middle of Australia, or however the surveys are going to be, you can fly it a kilometer to that next person. They can pick up control of the drone from there.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah,
it
that's
definitely has
incredible.
uses.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
really, and which that you can see on the screen there for the listeners. I mean, that's designed in the case of specifically police using it. And I imagine they're using it for surveillance. In the emergency operations side of things, I can really see how this would be incredibly useful. Even for fire departments, like, you know, we experience obviously pretty bad bushfires most seasons in Australia. You know, a lot of this stuff could really help in the surveillance of these things and keeping an eye on them and being able to have several pilots littered around so that they can always combat a visual line of sight and nothing's too far, essentially, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I think they really are designed for, you know, surveillance and inspections, these things, aren't they?
Yes. Well, I mean, was it you, Sean, that was going to do an inspection with one of these in the P1?
Yeah, soon.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that picture that popped up with condensation all over it. I have managed, probably not with snow, but I've flown in pitch dark to do some work, and it had so much condensation. I was impressed, like how well it was still flying. Like,
Would
So
you
they
fly
are waterproof.
Would you fly it in the rain or?
no, it was just cold. It was nighttime. The mission was nighttime, so we were there for about 4 hours. Well, obviously it kept coming down every time and swapping out, but yeah, it's such a workhorse, as we've talked about. I think just we're touching on the payloads as well. So there's a H20, which is probably the stock, RGB camera, 20 megapixel from memory. H20T, which is essentially the same, but it's got thermal capability on that. But just remember, it's not a flare camera. It's actually DJI. And then obviously you got P1, which is full frame, which is running at 45 megapixel. And then you have the L1 for your LiDAR. And I think there's obviously a fair bit of third party now coming out as well.
I think Phase 1 have bought their own one out as well.
Phase 1 have.
There's a lot of
that's
right
exciting.
there. Bloody hell.
Oh.
Is it fully integrated as well? Or?
Yep.
Oh,
that's juicy. That's also a very expensive.
I had no idea. I would have no doubt that would be literally selling your firstborn to get that camera. But I tell you what, I contemplate selling my firstborn to get that camera.
You might need
it's worth it.
There's a reason we have 2 kidneys.
Yeah. You might have to
Also
sell
fair.
the second and third. For that, but
well.
the other important one here, like when we talked about the Phantoms, the DRTK2 is compatible. The base station is compatible with this as well. So this is why we talked about, you know, if you're looking to do similar sort of work, at least you can leverage the $5,000 or whatever it is for a base station and all the other peripherals. So you can use the Phantom 4 or you can use the 300 here. So.
Yep.
Nice. So what kind of price range would the M300 be sitting around? They're like just a basic.
How much you got?
A wallet.
Aren't they around 40, 50 grand, roughly?
Depends what you want to start with, right? I mean, if you're going to start with the H20T, the H20 or a H20T, there's a big difference. I think it's like $6,000 difference just in the camera. So like a P1's about $10,000 just for the camera. So I'd say you need 30 to 40 grand. I don't think we'll be too far off. So
okay. Let's go into the big bucks. But guess what? You can spend more money as now we jump over to the Matrice 600 Pro.
Hey, believe it or not, you can pick up the M600s cheaper.
Oh, really? In the Pros, but or the M600?
The M600s are the payloads are the expensive things. They're heavy lift beasts in the DJI line.
Yeah, okay.
Are they still building them out though? Are they kind of phasing?
Well, they've stopped doing the Matrice 600. I know that because I did that before when I was doing a little bit of research. But the M600 Pro, they seem to be still selling.
Yeah.
I would have thought the market for this is much more niche than the 300.
Yeah,
Oh, definitely.
Well,
I mean,
look, it's for the custom payloads, you know, your Reds and Aries, like your biggest, well, there you go, perfect example, your cinema cameras right there. You're going to be carrying a camera that could be worth 100 grand. They're just made, but you know, six batteries to fly the drone for, what is it, 25 minutes, give or take. It's a lot of batteries to charge for one flight.
Well,
But
that
you got-
payload there alone, that's probably what? That'd be over 100 grand.
7 kilos.
That'd be over 100 grand. The red epics are pretty up there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
red.
There is cheaper Reds these days. They're, you know, about the 30 grand mark, but it's still 30 grand for a camera.
Yes,
But
30 grand.
when you're in these markets, you're not buying it for shits and gigs. You know, the M600 takes up the whole boot space of a car.
If you're buying an M600 with any of these payloads just because you can, you literally need to get your head red.
Or you could be a host on this.
Or you could be a sponsor, even better. We'll give you something practical to throw your money at.
But look, it's mainly made for productions and for movies. Like you've got all different types of outputs for every type of transmission for TV, or for it's uncompressed imagery. It's not like an Inspire. Even the Inspire is compressed imagery for live TV. Even though it has the capability, the quality is not there with the other drones. Where this is, whatever drone, whatever camera you've got on it.
It's worth highlighting that DRTK there. It's the older generation too, which you can't buy anymore.
Yeah.
So it's not even available if you wanted to try and buy one.
Yeah.
So that RTK is purely used just for, you know, just to keep your GPS hold, essentially.
So has anyone here actually flown one? I've seen one in flight. I've never actually flown one myself.
Never flown one.
I've flown one, and I've got a job coming up very soon with one. They're just big.
Yeah.
So how do they move? How do they move in the air? But would you say comparison to say like an M300?
Compared to an M300 and Inspire, I'd say they're a bit more clunky. But yet again, you're looking at a 6-year-old drone, 6-7-year-old drone. It's just much older technology. They fly and they command dominance, like especially over the M300s even. But it has its niche. It has its niche market. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
But like, you know, you're buying one of these that they might not even bake batteries for much longer.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, with that, we'll jump into something a little bit different. We'll jump into the Aggress T20, which is an agriculture drone. Again, this is something I've never had anything to do with in the agriculture realm, but as you can see on screen, it's obviously, you know, primarily used for spraying and other farm general agricultural tasks. Have you guys had anything to do with them?
Nope.
No.
I've flown the T20, but not with anything in there. It was empty. But yeah, as you said, it's specialized for ag. So I'm pretty sure it's with, like, especially in the T20's case, with the liquid in there, it's like 24.9. So if it's the same sort of license category as the 300.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So
This would be a good one to talk to Andrew about.
Yeah, we can definitely. I'm sure he'd love to come in and talk about this stuff. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and for the listeners at home, you can see on screen here, they've got a little video of it following a pre-created mission using the RTK technology and spraying along its mapping route, which is pretty cool.
We also mentioned, like, on that video, how much the trees are moving under it.
Well, keeping in mind, this isn't a tiny drone. These would be about the same size as a Mavic 600, wouldn't they? Or maybe a little bit smaller.
A little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger. Yeah.
On the next screen down, it says it has exhaust valves. There's a bloody engine.
Yeah, okay. That puts it into perspective, to be honest. But they are a pretty cool looking drone. Definitely something that we all haven't really had much to do with, but they're definitely out there, and there is definitely use cases in the ag world.
Yeah.
You can see it there folding out.
Yeah, obviously a very high price point to get into, but
yes.
I think if you get the right clients and everyone like that, it's probably the return on investment is there pretty easily.
Yeah, definitely. While we're in the ag realm, we'll have a quick look at the X-Ags. Again, I don't believe any of us have really had much experience with these guys either.
The only time I've flown one was the P40 when I did my 25 kilo upgrade.
Right,
And that thing was huge. Like, it's just like you need two people to carry these things.
Yeah, they look pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
I've seen one. I've never seen it in the air though, or actually fly it or anything. But these things look pretty nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, is that just a 2 Pro?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Definitely looks cooler than the what was the one we talked about a few weeks ago?
The
V-copter.
The V-copter.
It's like V-copter on steroids.
Yeah. This is like the V-copter and Arnold Schwarzenegger got together and had a baby. Like, holy crap.
And Arnie won.
Arnie won.
Yeah. I know there's a guy that I follow on Instagram and things like that uses these drones. It has a whole kit of these. I'm just trying to look them up now. Oztech drones, yeah. So like some of the stuff that they post is pretty insane and really, really cool. But
if you want to learn more, definitely a good place to check it out, especially about the XAG drones.
Yeah, look, and I think, probably in like where we are in Australia, where there is still lots of farming going on, there's definitely the use cases for them out there. I imagine there's probably not as many people using them, so there probably would be, the holes in the industry there too if people are interested in jumping in there into that space. Yep. Just make sure your wallet's full when you do.
Very true.
Yeah.
I think we long past the category of common sense.
Common sense.
Yeah. That's out the window now.
When you're talking these drones, you're not really talking about the price point. It's more the use case and
definitely
what your clients are after.
Yeah, so definitely. It's nearly 3 meters wide.
Far out. That is giant.
That's 2 props.
2.7, almost 2.8. Far out.
Holy crap. That's massive.
Imagine the noise that thing would make.
Clearly waterproof by the vision on the screen.
Yeah.
Wow. It's quite an impressive piece of machinery.
It is. It looks like a nice bit of tech. Like you see some other drones that come out and try and compete with DJI and things like that. And sometimes you just feel like they're not quite there. This looks pretty good. Like I think you would be happy with either the DJI option or this option. Rocking up to site with either of these would be pretty happy.
I think they specialized in this quite early on. Though,
they've been around for quite a few years doing the agricultural sector, and they're dominating it from what I've seen.
That's
when you look at these things, I'm not surprised they're dominating that space, to be honest. Yeah. Like, these are quite impressive machines.
Yeah, they are.
Right on.
Pretty cool.
All right. Well, we'll jump out of that space now. And
so before we quickly go to the next segment, if you had any choice of any of these drones we've spoken about, what would you buy?
Oh.
For all round usage.
For all round usage.
Your day to day, what do you do?
If I'm going all round usage, I still can't go past the Phantoms and like potentially the Mavics too, for that matter. But if it was just purely me wanting a toy and something to play with, I would be looking towards the Inspire or the M300s. Just because they look like lots and lots and lots of fun. Not looking at all of the practical uses of them, just thinking of purely the fun I can have with them.
Yeah.
How about you
guys?
Danny? I'd go straight for the Inspire.
Yeah.
As I said, it's the Lamborghini in my eyes.
They are very pretty. Very, very pretty.
Yeah, they are. Nice looking drone.
Sean?
All right. Sean?
I think the 300. I think once you've flown the 300, it's insanely good, and I'd say that's DJI's forging that to be their workhorse clearly, and you can see the amount of payloads. I think I was reading something yesterday on LinkedIn about packaging or carrying, which is again attached for the 300. So there's a lot of third-party things being done, which is exciting. So
that's good. That is good because they kind of moved away from the the Matrice 200 series pretty quickly. And I felt like that's left a lot of people hanging out to dry a little bit. Because it's just, now they've got the 300, it's there, it's the workhorse now. I find it pretty hard for them to sort of move away from that now. But doesn't matter.
And
you, Brendan?
I'd go the Phantom. Yeah, I myself, I've always used Phantoms, so I love the Phantom. Some people call them the rats of the sky, but they're definitely a workhorse for all sorts of, to mapping, photogrammetry, inspection. I find them really, really versatile, sub 2 kilo as well. So you don't even have to have a license to go and fly these things. I think they tick all the boxes for anybody that's trying to just start and wants to do mapping and everything like that. I'd go the Phantom. And then, if I was just playing around, I'd probably go, I'd actually go both ends of the stick, probably an M300, or I'd just stick to the Mini 2.
Nice.
All of the above.
All of the above. Everyone.
Look, let's face it, if we all had an endless amount of money, we'd probably go and buy at least one of each of those things to have a play with them.
What are we playing today, boys? Send us all of them to M300s.
What use cases can we find for this drone today?
Let's fly and think at the same time.
Because that's a good idea. And on that note,
where's Tiger?
And Danny, who is it?
What was that?
Yeah, Danny, who is it?
It's safety tie. Wow.
Safety tie.
All right. We're going to do a little bit of difference for safety tie this week. We've normally been going through some videos, but been a bit of a hot topic conversation of lately between all of us.
Are we throwing people under the bus, Ty?
No, we never throw people under the bus. There's never any mentioning of names here. We're not here to do that. We're here to have a conversation and educate people, Brendan.
We're just pulling the bus up to the bus stop.
Understood.
We're just sitting there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But basically, and I'm sure for a lot of the licensed pilots listening and other people in the industry, we all get slightly aggravated here and there due to all the images we see on social media that we can assume that probably aren't a legal flight. So it's been a bit of a conversation lately. So I thought I'd gather a heap of images from social media. Now, some of these are in Australia, some of these are not. And go over why each of these images would be perceived under Australian law anyway to be illegal. So who's itching at the bit first to give us their opinion on an image or two there? Hey, I've got plenty to say, but I'll let you guys have a crack first.
Well, I clearly gobsmacked that this is even on social media. It's above the cloud line, so it's clearly well over 120 meters. Because
so this is referring for the listeners at home. There's an image on the bottom right here of the share screen of, I believe, is that Eureka Tower in
Eureka
Melbourne?
Tower in Melbourne, yep.
Yes.
So and how tall is that tower about?
288 meters.
Oh.
And so for the people that are listening, not watching, this image is taken, I could estimate probably
250.
Yeah, I reckon
maybe
probably
more.
About that, maybe a fraction more. So
and fog, throwing a bit of fog, aren't you?
Yeah. So
remember, the guy controlling it is not above the fog line, so how's he seeing it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about that they're flying at this height. Like it makes me nervous because I go into Melbourne all the time in a helicopter, and I'm literally at the same height as these buildings in a helicopter, and this dickhead is flying a drone at this height. Like, I have no patience for people like this, because they're exactly the reason why we have rules and regulations, is because you're literally putting people's lives in danger. And where this photo is taken, around the corner from Eureka Skydeck and the new building there is 3 or 4 helipads, and you're in there, in and out constantly in helicopters. Not me, obviously. Like I do get up there regularly, but with Crown and everyone open again, I wouldn't even be rolling the dice on this. It would.
And
wouldn't be
drones are
worth it.
essentially they're a suicide tool for helicopters. They really are. Like if a drone goes into a chopper in flight, chances are it's going to end very, very badly.
Yeah.
So this is just out of control. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, and I think we've all said this. Beautiful image, but it's completely illegal and completely unsafe. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
For the amount of likes this person got, it probably wasn't worth the image if something went wrong. No. So,
like, get in the helicopter and take the photo.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, end of the day, if you're using it for commercial purposes, you'll be charging that helicopter flight out anyway to your client.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and you get the joys of flying in a helicopter.
Exactly, which is always fun. Don't get to do that often like some people, Brendan, but but that's it. That's the way around it. You essentially, if you've done that in a helicopter, that's completely illegal, completely legal, obviously, but we know for sure this one wasn't done in a helicopter. So
no.
Go on, Brendan. Now you've had a bit to say. You pick your favorite out of the bunch and what you think it'd be.
So my screen, I can't really see all the other photos, Ty. So my screen only shows the over the shipwreck and the building.
Okay, it's not just me then, because I'm looking at it. I can see a corner of one image.
Okay. That's interesting. Hold on.
There we go. Yeah, that's better.
That's better.
Wow, there's a lot more happening there.
Sorry, Lucas.
Okay, so
what's going on?
I guess the rest of them are kind of all encompassed with except for the shipwreck, but the other five photos there that we're all looking at are basically photos over roads or highways. So I guess you can describe the one looking up onto the corner of Spring Street and Flinders Street by the looks of it, and next to the shipwreck. I think that's right, isn't it, Sean?
I'm impressed you identified it with even streets.
Yeah.
Well done.
No, you are, because that's Fitzroy Gardens on the
Fitzroy Gardens on the right-hand side. So, like, if anyone knows or understands what we're looking at, you're basically looking at the entry point of Melbourne CBD, corner of Spring Street and Flinders Street, and they're flying right over the road. Obviously, there's a train in the photo. There's traffic. And it looks maybe sunset or sunrise. Oh, it's probably sunrise based on where the sun's coming from. Yeah.
It's a rail corridor there, so there's regulations for that too.
There sure is. Yeah, it's just more flying over a road. Like, again, we all know it's all taken by the same person. So I wish we could tell the
4 of the images are taken by the same person.
Can we talk about why? Because obviously the people doing this aren't licensed.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, what's the issue with flying over a road? Forget about building one we just talked about. What's the law that they're breaking?
That drone comes down, it's the chance of landing on somebody or their car, damaging.
No, but the actual law, it's the populist law, right?
The populist law, and within 30 meters of people or property. So, like Danny just said, if it fails and it falls, then the likelihood of it hitting a car or causing an accident is going to be pretty high. Even though it's probably super early in the morning, you can obviously see cars in the photo.
End of the day, the rules are there for keeping people safe. Like, you can look at everything, you can look at every law and particularly in the drone realm, if you really wanted to, and pick holes in the sense of, but if you could do it this time would be a problem, or do it here, whatever. But they are legitimately there for a reason, because like Danny said, that drone, particularly that, for example, that one going over the bridge, say that drone dropped out of the sky and landed on the windscreen of that car. Now, I can tell you right now, that is not going to end well. And that's why the rules are there.
If you thought it was bad with a huntsman crawling across your windscreen, try a Phantom.
I know. I reckon I'd be scared more of the huntsman than the drone, to be honest.
And the rule doesn't exempt the law. That law doesn't exempt you the fact that there's a person in the car. It's not. It's the same thing. Under that law. So
Yeah, because I guess maybe an example, Sean, is when you're trying to get approval to fly within a CBD, you close the roads down and everything like that. Even though we've closed the roads down, we're still within the buffer of 30 meters of buildings. and CASA deems that as like within 30 meters of property, and it kind of rules you out from being able to fly. Obviously, there's ways to make it right and do it properly and safely, and you get that all approved by your process. But when you're just flying it around like this and you're just taking photos, it's a no care thing, which is probably the more frustrating thing, I guess, with all four of us, is that like we've all said, the rules are there for a reason. And yes, we all at some point break the rules or bend them and manipulate them to make it work for our situation. But continuously flying over roads within CBDs, within 30 meters of people, it's going to take one person that one day that thing's going to fail. It's going to cause an accident. It's going to kill someone, and it's going to ruin it. Everything. All drone operations is going to be ruined for everybody in Australia 100%. Just based off that one person. And
I think that's where CASA will start looking into reviewing recreational use of drones in Australia. If we keep having situations where people are breaking rules and threatening people's life and safety due to them just wanting to get a shot, it will get shut down in Australia, which, sure, I guess for us in the commercial end of the game, that's great because it'll be just us allowed to fly. Yeah. But, no one wants to take that away from drone enthusiasts and no. Even just the aerial photography enthusiasts out there. I mean, if you stick to the rules, you can still get all the cool shots and, you can still get a great portfolio, but you don't have to risk your license and risk the industry at the same time. And I think that's primarily the main reason we're trying to point this out, is because you're not just damaging potentially yourself and potentially the safety of others, but you're also potentially damaging the industry. Yeah. You need to really think about that.
Yeah.
It's clear. Sorry, Brendan. I was going to say, it's clear whoever takes these pictures don't understand that these things do fall out of the sky. There is no redundancy. Yeah. That's why they're quadcopters. So if a bird flies into it, damages your motor, you're coming down. So
yeah.
Especially magpie season. Like, you imagine doing these kind of shots in spring, one magpie, and there's probably 10 chasing the drone at the same time.
It's just not worth it. Like, the photos look, I won't deny it, the photos look absolutely amazing. And I wish I could take photos like that. But like, I don't know, I don't go through and get my license and spend all the money and get the insurance just to be able to take nice photos. Like, you could have taken, I understand the road looks really good leading into the CBD, and the CBD looks amazing with the sunrise. And you've got all the lines, and it all lines all up together within the frame of the image, but just forget about it. Just don't worry. Just don't do it. It's annoying. It's annoying to people like us, because we try and follow the rules as much as we can by doing the right thing, and then people without a single care just go and do it.
The fines are heavy. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 11 grand or something.
So it was 8.5, but it's got bumped up to 11.5 grand as a minimum, I think. Is it?
Yeah. I thought it's about 11 at least. So.
On top of the fines as well, the CASA's patrolling all social medias. Like, they may not be approaching everybody, but there's records of all this. As soon as it's online, there's a record of what you've done.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing you got to consider. Like, you're going to be posting this, and you're blatantly posting an image or a video that you are breaking law. Yeah. And it's not just like an easy law. CASA will come down on you pretty hard, because when you're dealing with airspace, there is no room for just a slap on the wrist, I don't think, because you're dealing with people's lives at the end of the day.
A good example of consequences is the old famous Bunnings sausage.
Yeah.
Our old mate, chucked it on YouTube. He flew over to Bunnings with his Phantom, with a little bulldog clip from memory hanging below it with the money in it, saying for his sausage order. Flew it over there, threw it down. They gave him the sausage, he flew it back. So it was sitting in his spa, got to land it, pick it up and eat it. Now, of course, it looked cool. Well done. You pulled off something no one thought you could do with these things, but highly illegal. And end of the day, it was out there on social media. It made news. It made everything. It went viral as all hell. But obviously, CASA was well aware of this. $8,500 fine.
Mhm.
And was it worth
Expensive
it for $2
sausage.
sausage? Yeah.
Expensive sausage.
I'm like, I love a Bunnings snag, but I don't really want to pay $8.5 for one. So
Yeah.
like, these are things that people need to keep in perspective and think about, before they do these flights. Like, it should always be forefront of your mind is the safety involved.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
I know
And I
it's
think as well, like we've been flicking the videos around between all of us, but with all the protests going on over the last couple of weekends, every state has had someone flying a drone within the CBD, over hundreds and thousands of people. And like, obviously we see the ones in Melbourne, but the ones in Melbourne, there's like video of, flying just like a half a meter above the tram lines, which is just mental to think about, trying to go between trees. There's Christmas decorations up now in the streets. Like, if that comes down, you clip it and it falls on someone. Like, we're in a world where people are just hanging out to sue each other. So, like,
It is litigation age.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
and then you got to throw CASA on top of it. CASA's obviously going to see it. Like, there is no way CASA's not going to see it. So I would be expecting a phone call or a knock on your door. Yeah. Might need some help.
And that actually being said, we'll actually provide the link. There is actually a website for people out there. If you do witness illegal drone operations, obviously, we want everyone to be safe. We don't expect everyone to go and play dibber-dobbers and dobbing everyone left, right, and center. But the thing is, if you see something that you question, I would report it. I mean, this is the only way that the industry ends up cleaned up. It doesn't necessarily mean that person's going to get in trouble, but the chances are CASA is going to follow it up, and they're going to have a look, and they're going to have a look at the legalities of it all. Yep. So, we'll make sure we put that link up on screen so that everyone can see it, and we might post it on socials as well, just so people are aware of what you can do to help combat some of the issues within the industry.
Yep.
All right. Well, that pretty much takes us to the end for this episode, guys. I feel like we nutted out quite a bit of information there, just a bit over an hour. So well done.
Oh,
you did say it'd be a quick episode, so
yeah, quick episode.
Say it'd be quick. What did we think? Half an hour? Yeah, right.
Yeah. Never.
Oh,
this sun is killing me, guys.
Like, before we end it, can we just appreciate how much Brendan has to move out of the sun right now? It's been creeping up onto his eye lines.
Slowly and slowly. I'm like,
and Tyke is dragging the episode out. So
yeah. Wrap it up, Ty. I'm just
trying to slowly cook Brendan, that's all. No,
eyes are watering.
Oh, thanks very much, guys. And another great episode. And we'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Sounds good. Speak to you then.
See ya.